Oh, that's right. It's episode 36. Enter the 36th chamber of Rinkside. Over here, we've got a grand episode for you. But first, it's the return of Chewie. He's persevering through some personal, health, but he's here in fortitude. Chewie, how you doing? How you feeling?
Uh, Feeling okay. Just a little sick, but we'll get through it. How's everything going with you?
Oh, well, it's going, pretty good. I was showing this earlier. I got this at Medieval Times. Do they have a Medieval
Oh,
Time?
sweet.
You
Yeah,
ever?
yeah. There's one in Toronto. I think close by. Yeah.
I remember going to Medieval Times when I was a kid, and I must have been 12, and I went with my friend Howie Goldsmith, and we went to his birthday party, and we packed like seven kids in an Explorer, and we went to Medieval Times, and we all got blow up weapons, but we couldn't hit each other. We couldn't hit each other with them at the place. But on the way home, my friend's mom stopped in our school parking lot, and for 15 minutes we went around hitting each other with these like inflatable weapons. So I must say the quality of these, fabrications has really improved. But it's still foam and safe. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What team color were you this time?
We were blue, and yeah, we sat in the front row. It was super sweet. Blue, first of all, sucked. He died. He basically lost twice. First time he the guy was gonna like kill him with a pike, and then he asked the crowd if they wanted him to live or die, and overwhelmingly it was kill him, and they still spared his life, and then he came back to like fight again, and then he died.
Oh, jeez. There you go. Sweet.
Yeah. So, let's talk about these. Okay, here we go. Our all stars, Chewy. What we're looking at the Atlantic. What are you seeing on the board?
Yeah, yeah. Potty's the coach. Congratulations, and congrats to everyone else who made the All Star team for Team Atlantic, and for all the other divisions as well.
Oh yeah, Catherine Kamenev, coach over there, and yeah, there's a lot of players. Maybe we'll shout out the coaches along the way. Coach Oni Excola, and what did you think? Did you feel like some teams had an overwhelming amount of players on their team in each division? Coach for the Pacific, Doug Britton.
Uh, yeah. Sometimes, unfortunately, it ends up like that. Um, with the All Star voting every season, there's a discussion about it where people, unfortunately, it sometimes turns into a popularity contest, or like who's the most active, or like which team votes the most for their own team. We don't see that too much anymore. It's like Ani Escola kind of dove in. Only like maybe three players per team just like submit their whole own team, but yeah, it's nice. With like the division winners, the whole team getting like every team getting a +1. We hope that like pushes people to vote for like the most deserving players, and I think every season it gets a little better. But there's always that feeling that some teams obviously have more players than others.
Than others. I guess it's just the way it folds. But I think all the teams. Oh, shout out Captain Burnout for the what's that? The European conference. For
Yeah.
then what's this one?
The
Oh,
Oceanic.
Oceanic. Robert Thump, ex Warlock. Sweet. So those were the All Stars. So let's check out what transactions went down. What do you want to walk us through this week?
Yeah, so obviously up on the board here, we see the first trade between both our teams, actually. Copenhagen receives Jake Prudhomme for season 7 first and season 8 second conditional pick. Uh, they don't put what the conditions are in transactions, but are you cool with like us sharing what that
Yeah.
condition is? Yeah, so pretty much if Miami's receiving Brent Hoffenmeyer, and if you guys can successfully sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal in the offseason, we'll get that conditional second. So kind of, um, allows you to lock in Brent if possible, and then you're not giving up too many picks with the opportunity to lose them in the offseason.
Hmm. Yeah, and we're super happy with Brent's performance. I think he got an assist in our first game against Honolulu, and overall, just his like build and presence um, is like unrivaled. And team player, I said, hey, Prudon played on the third line. We've got good chemistry where we have it right now. How do you feel about like going through this season on the third line? I told him I play on the fourth line, so it's all for like what the team's gonna win. And he was super down with it, and we shut him out. So I thought like really great performance by him.
Yeah, congrats to Brent, and you'll be missed on the Vikings. Next up, we got another trade between the Las Vegas Sinners and Honolulu Tropics. This was an affiliate deal where Captain Wicked goes to Las Vegas for a season 8 second for Tennessee. Um, yeah, we know Wicked's going to be an expansion owner, so maybe it was a strategic move for both teams. Um, but I don't know, not much else to say about that one. Next one, we got another affiliate trade, another Honolulu one. They're getting another Tennessee second. They love those Tennessee seconds there for Brandon Cuevas, Warlock legend, and now he'll end up going to Malmo. And yeah, I think Rome did this for the call up with Willie Ruth. It was never posted, unfortunately, but Rome ended up cutting Johnny McSlaps and then called up Willie Ruth. So they're restocking the pipeline. And then two new players join the league: Adam Bocage and Agner Blade. Both go to Berlin to fill those two spots that Honolulu left in Berlin.
Hmm. Lots of happenings around the league, and yeah, great overview. So let's move on over to the conferences.
Yeah, so on the left, you got your Rocket standings once again. We'll go through it quick because there hasn't been much movement at the top. Las Vegas still up there, Alaska second place, and then Albuquerque is still in third with 39 points. And the race for the last playoff spot has been heating up with Redwater going on a tear the past couple weeks. They're at 32 points now, and San Diego's only at 35. They've been struggling a little bit lately. So we'll see if San Diego can hold on. Tennessee's not too far behind with 28 points. However, they've, I think, lost their 2 games this week. So that'll set them back a little bit. And then Honolulu and North Bay towards the bottom. Still not out, still less than 10 points out, but I think Honolulu won today, so that'll give them the edge as well. On the Mr. Hockey side, again, not too much change at the top, but definitely the third and fifth place has been a lot of movement. So Copenhagen at the top with 42 points, Miami second with a game at hand with 41, and I believe you guys are the last game tonight. Florence has been going on a tear lately. They've moved themselves up to third place, going from, I believe they were fifth or sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, fifth, and now they're third. So they've solidified a playoff spot for the time being. Jacksonville, 37 points. I think they're playing currently versus Alaska, and it's tied 1-1 in the first period. So they'll definitely need this win to start surpassing Turku, who they're tied with. Yeah, those two teams right now are sweating with the fact that one of them may not make playoffs if Florence can keep it up. Norfolk as well. They've been streaky lately, but they're still not out. They have 30 points right now, still fighting for a playoff spot. And then you got Rome and Boston on the bottom, who unfortunately may not see the playoffs this year.
And speaking of not seeing the playoffs, what's your perspective on the divisions right now? How do we feel about teams that are in the fourth ranking? Does that mean they're kind of eliminated from their playoff chances, or does anybody here have a chance?
Uh, I mean, mathematically, no one's eliminated yet, but it's going to take a very large win streak and the top teams going on a losing streak. So I wouldn't say they're eliminated, but I'd say they probably won't make it this season.
Right. And moving along to the minors, we've got Tokyo at top with 33 points, but there's two other teams that also have 33 points, Warsaw and Sydney, coming down to goals differentials. Tokyo has 18, Warsaw has 14, Sydney has 9. So it's very, very close race right now. Then at 26 points is Malmo, and then we have another tie amongst 25 points between Iceland and Berlin. This one about a 9-goal differential difference between the two. And at the bottom, we've got Beijing with 14. So as you can see, whoever's going to get that top ranking, as long as it stays competitive, it looks like at least 3 of the 4 teams are kind of progressing towards securing, one of those places if they each consistently perform positively in the future. And then it's kind of that 4th place. Malmo, Iceland, Berlin, even a good run with Wellington, could take on the 4th position. So I'm going to move us along. We didn't really have any major movements in the power play, penalty kill. Face-offs, same over here, just showing this for visual encyclopedia. Here we go into our league leaders. We have a new leader with goals, Hank Falco. Assist leader, still Garrett Winkler. And points leader is now Hank Falco. Going on to our rookies, we've got Stig Magnus under goals leader, but the assists and points leader is Jerry Jackson. And speaking of Jerry...
while you're actually on the rookie leaders, we'll shout out Dank Turtle. He's... He joined the season late, I think 4 games in, maybe so he's played less games than everyone, and he's right at the top, fighting for that Rookie of the Year award. Maybe the points per game will come in handy, where if he's tied with Stig by the end of the season, playing 4 less games might push him over the edge. So, big shout out to him, and yeah, hopefully Jerry Jackson comes back to active because he's having a hell of a season right now.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Jerry Jackson, we've got a we're not going to show these. We're going to actually pull up the Honolulu roster for Chewie. What are your kind of thoughts on Honolulu?
Yeah, so right now their roster is actually looking pretty good for the future. They've got a couple big names locked in, like Bjorn Madison, Oliver Price, who's really turned he's had a really good career after leaving Jacksonville. Tim Keller, he's kind of been on the lower lines, but if he can make the jump on Honolulu or move somewhere else for a piece that can help them, that'll be good. Their main players, Eric Leclerc, Colby Wiersma, Isaias Palmeiras, and Chex Lemino. Again, these are all solid players. Um, you know, I think they're really well built. I think they just need those progressions. So I think in a season or 2, you could really see Honolulu start popping off. They made a trade for James Bass, who's locked in till season 8. So that's huge for them. They've got a couple of really active guys like Robert Thump, who, as we saw, is a all-star game coach this season for the Oceanic. Thank you. Their main issue right now is activity. Jerry Jackson, one of the players who's been inactive. Max Jones, who they just traded for, who's also been inactive. But again, if they can get these guys back, they've got solid builds. Looking at it, they have about 7 players pending free agents. Not sure if they plan on re-signing all of them or if they try to make some space for some free agent pickups. But I mean, man, like looking at the size of their defense as well, their smallest defense is 6'5", 219 or 200, 6'9", 200 or 6'5", 219. This is like what Detroit/Dublin was like in season 1, 2, where we had just large defense and it really worked for us. So right there, if they can get their speed up, they can really shut teams down.
Very nice. And, speaking of shutting teams down, it comes down to, first off, we're looking at hits. So Honolulu is ranked ninth in hits across the league. Um, Leading the team with hits is Bobby Brownstone with 105 hits this season. That places him seventh on the league leader for hits. In second place with hits is Jerry Jackson, we've been talking about, with 72 hits. Um, Jerry is also, first on the rookie leaderboards with assists and points. I guess I already mentioned that one. These are like the highest, though, for a defender on the Tropics. Colby Wiersma leads the team overall with 24 points. That includes 9 goals and 15 assists. The goals leader for the team is Isaiah Palmeiras, who's netted 14 goals this season and 8 assists. Palmeiras is also second in shorthanded goals across the league with 2. So,
Yeah. And one last thing, one cool, I guess, thing. They have 3 total hat tricks on their team. Jaden Skorts, I believe, scored one recently. Isaiah Palmeiras and Murgatroyd Skittle all have hat tricks. So, 3 hat tricks in a season is not easy. So, Honolulu has that firepower set up.
yeah. All right. So, Chewie, did you want to see their face-offs or special teams, or should we move on to the next team?
Sure. Yeah, you could show it quick.
Okay. So their face-offs, they're third in the league, which is like pretty high, and special teams, top 6. So speaking of, our next team is North Bay.
Yeah, North Bay here. One of the most interesting teams, I think. Uh, one player that I think everyone uh, hates to play against, Chibium Lashinger. Probably one of the best goalies in the league, but just being on a team that unfortunately hasn't been able to make the next steps, maybe overshadowed by some of the top teams goalies. But Chibium Lashinger steals games for North Bay. Every team hates going up against them. He's a pending free agent this season. It'll be interesting. Obviously, Reed will be working on trying to re-sign him. If he can't, hopefully he can sign a big free agent goalie to replace him, because that'll be a huge step back if they have a downgrading goalie. One of their strong points as well on their roster is their defense, having players like Juan Kameny, Jace Taylor, D. Hardy, Alexander Lidstrom. A few of them are pending free agents once again. For North Bay, the story is they just need to re-sign their players and keep as many people as possible. Um, on forward is probably where they lacked the most. I know Reed made some big moves this season with William Thompson, bringing him in, a big playmaker. Call up Boston Dobbs, who's been having himself a very good season, as well as signing Heinz Hadruff. Uh, so they're getting set up. I think their biggest move this season, which I thought they needed to do last season as well, is pick up a top tier sniper to play on that first line. So if they end up losing a couple forwards to free agency, but replacing them with some high end players, I think that's their major goal. And this season they have about 8 pending free agents. And yeah, I mean that's the story for North Bay.
Yeah, and what a story it is. And speaking from the numbers, let's just put it up here from a hits perspective. North Bay has a rockin' 420 hits. I think that's an impressive milestone to hit. And you know, there are kind of some areas of opportunity when we look at face-offs overall. Throwing up a 40.6%, that's certainly an opportunity. When it comes to special teams, we've got, their penalty kill is doing better than their power play. Just something for them to consider. And when we look at the stats, some of the things that kind of stand out is let's talk about Boston Dobbs, ex Warlock. He's put up 9 points this season with 3 goals and 6 assists. He's 4th in goals, 4th in assists, and 5th in points amongst rookies. I'd say that's a pretty standout season. It might not be the top one, but it's still putting in some work, and also turning our attention to some goalie stats. Lassinger is 1st in saves across the league with 897 and 3rd in save percentage with .904.
Sweet. That's your rundown.
Yeah. So now we're going to run down these plays of the week. All right. Coming in at number 5, it is overtime Arctic Wolves versus Copenhagen, and there's Gray with the overtime winner. Next up, we've got North Bay as the puck gets it to Fletcher with top shelf over the goalie's shoulder for the goal. Next up, we've also got another North Bay. This is, check out the performance on Harris here. Look at that shot blocked. Here we go. Oh, another shot blocked. Oh, then scores persistence. All right, now we've got Arispe Romero has the puck, and this is on power play, shorthanded to high wing with high wind, with the shorthanded goal. Let's just take one more look at this. You got to respect a shorthanded goal. It's just so difficult to do, yet there we go, with style. Finally, our play of the week, we've got SDR as the puck saw the Harper to, off of the twig of green into the goal. It was pretty spectacular. I wish I could slow it down, but I don't know how to do that. And those were our plays of the week. All right, and welcome to Rinkside Steele. It's great to have you. How you doing today?
Good to be here. I'm doing pretty good, actually. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know this is your first time on Rinkside, and we really appreciate that. But I also understand that this is, you've been in the league for how many seasons?
Wow, they go by quick. I think this is my third season as a pro, and I played one season in the minors. Most of the season, I think I joined a little after the season started. I think this is year 4.
Year 4. Wow. That's really impressive because, you've conquered a lot in quite a short amount of time. You've coached and won the World Cup, and you've also contributed to coaching. Maybe you were the coach. You could talk a little bit about that, but you took home a ring with the Dublin Dragons. I'm kind of curious, what do you think what do you attribute to your success here?
A lot of help. The World Cup team, I don't think anybody would have lost that tournament with the team. It was, I wanted to get my feet wet a little bit with coaching, and I got this roster that was just phenomenal. We just rolled that tournament, and I was just lucky to be along for the ride. And then last year with Dublin, Copenhagen now, I was given the opportunity to expand that a little bit more as far as a little more hands-on work with the strategy and just becoming a little bit more familiar with how it all works. So kind of putting it all together to hopefully formulate some larger master plan. But yeah, I had a lot of good people helping me along the way. Chewie obviously helped me a lot. Even names escaping me right now because I'm on the spot. Trevor from Florida, he helped me out a lot. Even going all the way back to the days at Melbourne, picked up a little bit of information from Chavoy as well. So had a lot of people helping me out. Just one-off DMs, people giving me some advice. So a lot of it's from other people. I've just been lucky enough.
Yeah, I guess it takes a village to, win a cup or take home a ring or whatnot. So that's pretty good to hear that it's, a lot of, and, I'm curious, like, you mentioned like being more hands-on with the strategy. Do you have an official title on the Copenhagen or the Dublin Dragons today?
Not as not this year. I'm kind of a witness to the greatness now. But last year, I guess if you wanted to call me an assistant coach, I guess if you wanted to if it had to label it something. But again, just to kind of stick with the village theme, it wasn't just me. David Leathers, we just kind of split duties last season. Obviously, it worked out, and then come playoffs, we kind of all put our heads together and decided what we were going to do from there. So far be it, was it all me? But I guess if there's an answer to that question somewhere, I think maybe assistant coach.
Okay, excellent. Very humble of you. And it's So let's just change a little direction. Let's talk about your name. When I hear Rock Steele, I think of something foundational, like, the gurney or whatever they use to like build buildings or, what things. I think is something that's like core and the essence of a team. And I'm kind of curious, like how did you come up with your name? Is it your real name or is this kind of like a persona?
I'd love there to be some sort of great story like you just mentioned, but there really wasn't. My real name is Rocco. I go by my real name actually in racing in the ESL, and just growing up, everybody called me Rock. And I don't even remember what game it was, but I named a character Steele years ago in some game, and it just kind of stuck with my fictional characters, and it just kind of seemed to work. So I put it down, and I mean that was pretty much it. I guess loosely based on myself, not, but again, yeah. So no real good story behind it. I wish there was, but pretty much just kind of simply put, just kind of came up with it.
Hey, that's awesome. My best friend, his name's Rocco. It's his middle name, but I still call him Rocco. I've called him since we went to high school together a long time ago. So it's a solid name. I'd say that's a great story you got right there, and I think it's a good brand for you. It's got it's a good way to stand out. So I understand you have an announcement you're kind of excited to bring to our viewers today. I'm super pumped. What did you want to share with the league?
Okay, well, for myself, I am fortunate enough to have been selected to be an owner for the upcoming one of the upcoming expansion teams, and so I've decided on the concept of the team through much deliberation. So I've decided to represent the state of New York. We're going with the Brooklyn Alpha Dogs. Um, Loosely influenced by my favorite NHL team, the New York Rangers. So I could have maybe just alienated half of the league right there. I understand. But for the other half, welcome aboard. But again, loosely based there. I myself was born in Brooklyn. In deciding where I wanted to have, the city represented, I realized there wasn't any representation for that tri-state area, and there are some teams located around there that could present some good rivalries. So a lot of things considered, but yes, we will be the Brooklyn Alpha Dogs, and looking forward to it, and hopefully build something that I could be proud of, and maybe win a little bit. That'd be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations. We've got some images we're about to pull up to kind of talk our viewers through, but sticking with the the theme of the name. I love how the abbreviation is BAD, like some bad dogs, like about to bring home some bad business. You're going to take care of some business in the upcoming seasons, and it's real slick. And I appreciate you repping, Brooklyn. I can't say that I'm more of like a hip hop aficionado, so I can't say I've actually visited Brooklyn, but appreciate the music coming out of there. So shout out there. Let's see. So I've got the images. So let's pull up the primary and alt logo we've got of the Brooklyn Alpha Dogs here on the left side of the screen. Maybe you can see them. Maybe you know these by heart, but I'm wondering, like, how did you kind of come up with the color scheme? Is that like a Ranger-esque?
Ranger-esque. I think after looking at it, it came a little bit more Winnipeg-esque from the 90s and the 80s, but I'm very happy with that as well. But yeah, I think, like I said, definitely some influence in the colors. Spent a lot of time looking at the logos, and it's funny you mentioned the hip hop scene. I myself am a DJ, so I had considered possibly some sort of musical theme. I know there were some options within the game for like a nice little entry for having that, but eventually decided on this concept. But yeah, also a huge lover of dogs. Definitely, one of my interests to come through on my team. And of course, New York. I love the city. I love the state. And then again, with the secondary logo, I thought it was nice because it kind of represents the entire state. Even within our own confines, there's always that debate on who's a Jersey team and who's a New York team. Is Buffalo really a New York team? Things like that. So I'm glad that we can encompass everything on that. So a little bit on that. Like I said, nothing crazy, but a little backstory for us.
In for your DJ, is there like a specialty or like a type of music you like to play?
I would probably be found spinning mostly EDM, a lot of trance, real upbeat, trancey type stuff. Hip hop's really hard to mix well. I could do it somewhat, but again, my forte is probably going to be more in the electronic scene for sure.
Excellent. I remember. Oh God, he's my friend. I went to Tomorrow World, not Tomorrowland, but I went to Tomorrow World. I think 2 out of the 3 years, and gosh, I'm forgetting his name. He's like the Mormon DJ, but he's like super, really hot. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, not offhand from that distinction, no. But it may be somebody we both really know. So
it could be Armin van Buren. I'm not totally.
Well, he's Dutch. I don't know if he's Mormon.
It's definitely not him. I'll figure it out. But basically, this DJ closed out the Tomorrow World on the second year, or maybe it was the first year, and he played like Adagio for strings, which is like the Tiesto.
Oh, that's
song.
Tiesto.
Yeah, the Tiesto song.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It wasn't Tiesto.
It was not Tiesto, but that was like the first time I had heard that song, and like, wow, I don't know, that was so powerful. That's like easily my favorite concert moment.
I know for you guys, they have Ultra in Miami.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot of the big names play in Miami. I've never made it over there. It's about 4 hours from where I am now in Florida. They're on the other coast, but definitely a scene that I definitely want to check out before I move on from Florida. So hopefully soon.
Yeah. And so you're around the Florida area right now?
Yeah, currently I am in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area. We took the hit with the hurricane last year, but it's really, if you look at the map of Florida, we're in that little southwest inlet toward the end, we're pretty far south. But yeah, that's where I am currently. Yeah.
And if you maybe it's where you mentioned being impacted by this storm, how have things kind of, I don't want to say recover, because I would imagine that's something that kind of stays for a very long time, the impacts of them, but how have you kind of done since then?
It's the first. I mean, I was actually involved in a storm in Jersey. They called it Superstorm Sandy. I don't even know if they gave it a hurricane name. So this was my first real like hurricane, and it was pretty intense. And I don't know anything about them. It was the first one, but I remember feeling the walls shaking on the house and whatnot. And I mean, we're talking, right? I think it was October, maybe it happened. But you look around here, there's still trees down. I mean, there's still boats where boats wouldn't normally be. Just the level of destruction. Some of the other places we were lucky, but there were some places around here that just they didn't even exist anymore. So they're building those. But it is what it is, and just part of living down here, I guess. But yeah, so far so good. About 6 months into, like you said, the recovery, and I think things are up. Things are looking up.
It's great to hear, and we're all glad you're okay, and everything worked out. So let's go back to these logos. So I know we've got actually a third logo. I didn't even know you could do a third logo, but we've got this.
Yeah, it's a B for Britain, because he's the one that made it. No, Doug actually, again, shout out to him. He actually sat down with me for a good couple hours to hammer out all the details. So I want to make sure that he's recognized for that as well. But yeah, the B, I didn't know there was a third logo either. It's just kind of an accent. Decided to go with the old lettering, almost maybe like a throwback to the Dodgers. Just a lot of sports tradition in Brooklyn. So really not a big story behind that. Just the capital first letter. But again, I think it's a nice little nod to the past sports of Brooklyn for sure.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like that touch, and I think it's cool to kind of build your brand around that. And it's an exciting time to kind of launch a new team into the league next season. What do you think is going to differentiate the Brooklyn Alpha Dogs from other expansion teams?
Well, I don't know if it's different from anybody else, because I'm sure a lot of people came from a lot of good pedigree as far as learning. But I guess for me, I bring a lot of knowledge from people I feel have been relatively successful in this. and people that have closely guided me on how to learn what I do, and because I'm not expecting to know everything this season. I'm probably going to mess up, honestly. I'm probably going to have a couple moments thinking that I broke something. But again, I have a pretty good base from everybody that I've been directly a part of. I mean, the second I got to Dublin last year, Chewie just started talking like we knew each other forever, and one thing kind of led to another, and he gave me a few opportunities here and there, a little bit of discussion in the off season. Now I'm sitting here talking to you, and like I said, a lot of it is just a result of other people, but I don't know what to expect. I'm excited, a little nervous, so hopefully it all works out. At least I just don't want to break anything. As I'm not expecting to win that much. I just don't want to break anything.
Well, in like the tech world, they say like go fast and break things. So like it's often encouraged. I think it's like less about what you break and more about what you learn from it. Because most there's like this concept of like a two-way door where there's some decisions you make that's a one-way door and you open it and you can't like turn around and go back. But if you do the wrong strategies and you get pulverized, you can always go back in that door and say, okay, let's not do that again. That was probably the wrong choice. So I think you got plenty of runway to figure it out. And, people have spoken, like, I think during the World Cup, you had Heather Gray on the fourth line. There's like unorthodox types of things that you've done that people have commended you for, and bringing forward a new.
And it was all intentional. All of the success was 100% intentional. None of it was by accident.
There we go. Well, I'm definitely rooting for you this season, or not this season, but next season. This one you're still on my, the arch rival, the Copenhagen. But so what can you share regarding your plans for the expansion draft? What should teams be prepared to lose off their unprotected list when your picks come up?
I'm trying not to again, I'm learning as I go. So I'm trying not to pigeonhole myself into, any predetermined, this is what I want to go for. This is what I don't, because frankly, I don't know how difficult getting what I'm going to be going after is going to be. So I have a general idea of where I'd like to start. I definitely, I always felt that, a strong D is core. I think we've seen that the goaltending is definitely key. We've seen that here, and one of the most recent expansions in the NHL, we saw how important that was. So definitely, like I said, not a priority, but definitely leaning, looking at the defensive side. I mean, my player is a smaller offensive player. I realize those are, like I said, it's good to have a few of them. Can't make a whole team of those, especially with the new game, because we might not even survive the entire game. But like I said, kind of, play it by ear. I have a general idea of where I want to start and keep it a little close to the vest just because it's so early. But again, kind of, hopefully improvise and adapt as things go, because we have two drafts to do. Again, so many variables with that. So see how it goes. Like I said, if you had to put a gun to my head, though, I'd probably say I would definitely be leaning more toward the back end to start.
Very interesting. And so you talk about, not fully understanding where your like strategy is going to be going, but do you have any kind of overarching goals? Like, is winning the cup in season 7 one of them, or do you have, a more achievable, if you will, timeline to kind of securing that, even though you've already won a cup, but maybe you want a second ring?
Right, and I think for me personally, I think it's more of establishing a good culture, a good locker room. Ideally, everybody obviously would be active. You can go to anyone, but in reality, we all know that doesn't happen. So I'd like to get the core group of people, that even if we aren't, burning up the standings, a core group of people that for lack of better terms, want to show up and go to work every day. So, I think that's something that I've been fortunate enough in almost every team I've had, actually, even when I was in the minors, people were pretty vocal, just, if nothing else, just the, hey, what's up? talking about progression or maybe a comment or two about the game. Yeah, no, definitely would like to have a good core group of people. Again, realistically, I don't expect an overwhelming amount of success. I mean, I welcome it. You guys have been doing pretty good with the rebrand, so I mean, good on that. But yeah, like I said, I have tempered expectations. Obviously, I'm going to shoot for the moon, but like I said, a core group of people that I can get along with, that get along with each other. That's my main goal. I feel that's the most achievable one right out of the gate.
There you go. I think that's like so pure and like it's going to be impactful to focus on building out your culture before like the performance on the ice. Because at the end of the day, what I've seen, one of the hardest things that some expansion or rebrand teams has is like attrition, where people are on the roster and they fall off. But if you can secure them and maintain them, then everybody improves over time, everybody learns, and then you can kind of succeed. So I think you're spot on with what you're doing, and I think that shows a lot of strength in your leadership that I think will be attractive to a player base when they think about joining your organization. Now I know you're keeping a couple things kind of close to the chest, so I have like two hypothetical questions for you. Maybe you could give me your opinion. You could either do this as a new team owner or just based on your experience, leading teams in the past. But would you, and I think you already answered this one, but would you rather have an offensive heavy team or a defensive heavy team?
Again, out of the gate and just based on the way the sim seems to play, I would lean toward a defensive base to start off with. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be definitely ongoing work in progress. There's going to be a lot going on that first night, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out.
Would you rather have a top performing first line amongst all the teams in the league, or would your second and third and fourth lines be somewhere middle of the pack, maybe a little bit higher?
I think that it's. I personally feel it's important to have depth, only because again we don't have the direct ability to be out there changing the lines actively. If we could, it would be a completely different game. But I think since we don't have direct control over it, I think it's very important to have a. I mean, obviously you're going to have a top six, you're going to have a top four D line, things like that. But I think as far as um, you know, just giving up that control, I think it's pretty solid to have people you can trust throughout the lineup. Currently right now I'm coaching Warsaw in the minors. We're a little restricted to how we set our lines. They kind of go back and forth depending on the game of the week. So it's kind of one of those things where your first line is going to be your fourth line on the second game. So you kind of got to learn to deal with that. But I think even in there, trying to like spread everything thin, I think in the long run it would help to be good throughout the entire lineup as opposed to just maybe the top two, maybe your top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I mean that's like everybody, right? That's like that just described everybody's dream roster, right? So
Well, who knows? You could achieve it. So let's talk about goalies. Would you rather have a goalie straight from the minors that you can have a hand in molding, or someone that's a little bit more established, certainly higher up on the overall, but they kind of have like an opinion of what their progression strategy is. Maybe they've realized it, maybe they're still in progress, but it would be less hands off for you as kind of an owner or coach GM.
I mean, that's probably again that's kind of how it falls. Obviously, if you get a more established guy, it's probably going to result in more success right out the gate. And a lot of the established guys are good guys. I mean, they just are. It's easy to talk to. A couple guys that I know, some I don't know. So, I mean, honestly, I would just prefer somebody that again wants to be part of an expansion team, understands there's going to be some bumps in the road, good or bad, as far as where they are in their career. But it's a good opportunity for anybody really, because the expectations, while we want to win, aren't going to be over the top. So it's really open for anybody to slide in. I take everything into consideration as far as experience, of course I might ask around. But yeah, I'm open to anybody, but it's like I said prior, it's a pretty important position to me. So definitely one that's been given a lot of thought. So I like that question.
Hmm. Absolutely. And so when we look at like what makes up a team, there's certainly players that are on the ice, but there's also the people that are part of the organization, head coaches, GMs, owners. What like staff positions are you looking to fill in your organization?
Well, like I had said prior, any success that I've had in this league has been a result of just numerous people helping me out. So I would love to, possibly get somebody to, I'm not really 100% sure what labels or what, but I wouldn't mind having someone helping me, with the roster, maybe somebody with a little more experience than I. There's a lot of great people that know how to do strats and know how to, counter different teams and what to do. So definitely wouldn't mind having someone like that. And then just anybody who's really just interested in helping out. I mean, who am I to say no? You can't do something if you put yourself out there. I want to help the team. But I think as I get more acclimated to what I need to do and what I need as a owner, that'll become a little bit more clear. But definitely wouldn't mind having some help. So I could definitely foresee that happening in the future with the team for sure.
And talking about help, are you open to minors or maybe players that are in the pros looking for a change? Are you open to them reaching out to you to say, hey?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was, boisterous myself. I joined the league, and I was probably here within a couple of months before I started just shooting out things. What can I do? And then again, just kind of the way things fell, it just kind of opened up the path for me. So I was very fortunate. But yeah, I mean, it has to start somewhere, and I don't want to be the first person you inquire about and shut you down. No, I want to welcome you. I want you to be part of it. So absolutely, for sure.
Excellent. And those players, specifically the ones in the minors, can be the future of an organization. So on the topic of the future, and the final question I have for you today, where do you see the league 5 years from now?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're expanding, so I mean that's good. I think that's excellent. That provides a lot of opportunities for players that maybe didn't get the opportunity last year to maybe become pros. And I mean, it just seems like every day in the server there's one or two more people joining, which is always good. There's always extra minor assignments. So I mean, I think the rule committee is always active. I think they make good decisions as far as keeping everybody engaged. So I mean, 5 years. I mean, hopefully we're, I don't want to scare anybody and say more expansion, but who knows? It's 5 seasons from now. I mean, we're what on season 6 now, so the league will be twice as old by then. So who knows? I mean, maybe we'll all be getting paid.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Right? Charge me to come on the show and talk about the team.
Yeah. Well, what I don't think I'd ever charge my guests, but you know, can't say a little money would ever hurt. But I think there's probably other people that would be, in the pecking order a little bit higher than me. But that's cool to hear. So, closing us out, do you got any shout outs, anything you want people to know about? It can be about the league.
I don't want to lay it on too thick. Everybody that's kind of helped me, I've probably mentioned in the last 20 minutes. If I haven't, maybe somebody, Grims with the graphics, he helped me do some of the cutouts. And then of course Doug helping me make everything. I'm sure that's fun sitting there for 2 hours talking to a stranger about making, hockey graphics. And I felt bad for him because I'd say 20 minutes of it was me telling him what I wanted. The other hour and 20 minutes was him doing goalie stuff. So, but yeah, no, looking forward to it. Again, if I missed anybody, I appreciate your help. Sorry if I missed you and everybody else. Thanks a lot. I'm just looking forward to getting more done.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to your success in the coming seasons. Thanks so much for hopping on. It's been awesome. And best of luck, Steele.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me. Good luck as well.
Uh, Chewie, thanks for hopping on. I know you got to go. Take care of yourself.
Sweet. Thanks so much.
Okay, see ya.